Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our small business, small group, full service associate Monday Circle Up. My name is Jim Tanner. I'll be your host today as we kick off the week, and I am extremely excited for this event today. As we get going into the week, it's always good when we can have voices come together and launch into the week, especially when we have the momentum that we have here as we're finishing Q4 and the year. And there's so much great news to talk about today on that. We'll come to that in a few minutes, though. But I want to get right to our guest today to make sure that we have plenty of time for this conversation. As many of you know, I spent the weekend in the Arizona market and just had an absolute blast out there. And one of the things that I try to do is notice or be aware of best practices that we can bring back. The first event, and as you know, many of you know, when you come into a town to speak, that there's a lot of things that you're scheduled to do. The first event I had on my schedule was a luncheon, and Mr. Rick Allen, you're gonna hear from in a moment, was the gentleman that held that event, put it on, and has been organizing events like that, not for just months or years, but really forever. So I really wanted to, because I've been to so many of these events and they're not all as well executed as the one that I experienced. I wanted to make sure that we heard from this gentleman, because some of you are in that same position where you're putting on events, you're establishing a community event, you're growing a community event, you're planning to start in 2024 a community event. So I wanted to make sure you heard from someone that knows exactly 100% how to do it. And that's why you're here today, Mr. Rick Allen. We're going to put you to work. We want to make sure that what you're doing does not just happen in that room that it's happening in. We want to make sure that that's happening all across the map. So let me give a proper introduction to you, Mr. Allen, who again is in charge there, and you'll tell a little bit of your story and your Legal Shield journey in charge of that market and making it hum. This is a gentleman, we didn't know each other before this weekend, but I knew that everybody else knew who he was, and how much they respected him just by the manner in which everyone spoke of him and to him at these events over the weekend. So it was my pleasure, Rick, that we got to spend that time together. Our group here would love to hear from you. And as I mentioned in the message, this is not a team event. This is something that different teams plug into, whether live or on replay throughout the week, so that we can all learn how to rise together better and faster. And we're excited to hear from you. And I'll turn it over to you for some opening conversation.
Well, thank you very much, Jim. I appreciate that. And we put you to work as well. I recognize that when people come in thinking, oh, I'm going to do the Super Saturday, so that means I have to give a presentation and I have to be on cue, and then I've got to do this training afterwards. Well, first of all, just speaking that much that long takes a lot of oxygen, takes a lot of moisture out of your system. And so when I asked Mr. Hunter if you would be able to do the luncheon for us, I also recognized that we were asking a little extra of you. So we appreciate so much your teaching and training and everything that you did there. It was absolutely phenomenal. So thank you for that. But yes, as you mentioned, we've been doing that luncheon in that same location since March of 2015. And and I know that you folks come from all over, here in Arizona, we closed down for COVID in 2020 in about mid-March. And by mid-June, things were beginning to open back up. So we took our camera, we had our internet connection there and started doing a dual event. So we had a few people scattered throughout the room, and we had our cameras on to be able to do it through Zoom. We don't do that anymore. It's just a local live event because everybody else is back to work, which we are very, very glad of. But yeah, we've been doing that, as I say, since 2015. So other than the fact that we've been doing it a long time and have had the opportunity that maybe some of you haven't had to make every mistake you can possibly think of and say, oh, or this is a quote from my dad, let's not do that again. We've had the opportunity to make the mistakes, to get over them, to go on. And so it's been very, very successful. Great location. We're very blessed to have a separate room in a restaurant. So if you find a Denny's or I don't know, a Black Bear or one of those places that often has a separate room, if you can get that, it really makes a huge, huge difference. So Uh, so yeah, that luncheon has been very, very helpful for us, for our market. We have a lot of associates who plug into it, and very grateful. People like Keith Morrison has plugged into that. We kept hearing this name, Nancy Winters, come up. She's always there, always has guests. And of course, that is the magic of any event like that, is having guests at it. So I will add one other thing. I saw a post this morning on one of the other forums about, we only had 3 associates at our meeting. Those are such tremendous opportunities to learn from one another and to grow. So if you're in a position where you're trying to lead an event and you only have a couple of associates, man, that's the time to get the gears turning. So very, very powerful opportunity, even though you don't have guests there that day, because there's the next time.
Fantastic. And let me ask you this, because so when I walked into the room was already full. It was full of people that you got the sense immediately they knew each other and they liked each other. They knew what the event was and they knew why they were there. Now, not the guests, I'm talking about the associates. So I can tell right away that these are people that go consistently. And
Yes.
because you can just tell that they know what to expect and they know what's going on, which is again something that I don't always experience, because a lot of times in this last 12-month period, the luncheon was put on because the speaker was coming in. So no one knew the room. No one was used to gathering at lunchtime, and no one knew what to expect. But so I love that there was already a momentum there for that. But I'm curious if you could share with us, because to get to where you are, I know you didn't take it for granted to get to where you are, because at some point you're not going to be able to be in that room anymore. We can tell that's coming quickly. But how do you, in those days when you're not sure that the seats are going to be full, what are the things that you're doing in the weeks and days leading up to an event to communicate, not just that it's happening, which is we've all been guilty of announcing instead of promoting, right? Here, there's an event and here's where it is. Well, I'm sure you're able to do that, but how do you take it to that next level of professionalism of promoting that event so that people know it's happening and they know that they're truly missing something if they're not there?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously social media is a big player here. So one of the things that both Nancy and I, and very often other people who are at the luncheon as well, will post on social media the pictures from the event. So they see the speaker, they see who was there. Oh, I missed that. We talk about with one another, an online conversation about how great the event was, how powerful it was, if we had guests there, if we had enrollments because of the meeting or at the meeting, right after the meeting. We talk about those things within the social media, especially within the forums that are built for that, because I know in our Arizona market, we have a Facebook group that is for the Arizona market. Anybody in Legal Shield can join it. We got a lot of people there that are not from Arizona, but we get on there and we promote beforehand, we promote afterwards. I try my best to remember to do things like check in on Facebook, anything that I can that helps people know, hey, we are here, here's what we're doing. And we talk about the culture, because what you just mentioned, it's not just an event. There's culture going on there. So those of us who do know one another, we talk about it with each other. So during the week, weeks before, and then afterwards, we talk about the meeting, so that when we do come there, you do see that. And we really literally are very, very good friends. These folks are probably closer than many of my family members. I don't know if anybody's got family like that. You got some that you're close to and some that, you just kind of question, but these people are literally family members. So, when we get together like that, it's as much a reunion as it is a meeting. And that really changes the nature of what goes on in the room. And people, I can remember years ago bringing an associate to, back when we had the big weekly briefings, he was new in sobriety and just facing all kinds of challenges in his life. And he looked around and he says, this is where I'm going to get my new friends. He was at that point in life, he needed some. So make sure that you are building those things in your own mind and heart to say, okay, this is these folks, you might not like them all. You might not necessarily agree with them from a political perspective, but you do want to go in with the idea, no, you know what, these folks are my family, and therefore that's how I'm going to treat them. And that is a very, very reciprocal type of attitude to go in with. You're going to get that back. It's going to bounce right back at you. And when people see that, that's something that they want to be a part of. So you want to build culture of we're family here. And you don't talk bad about my family. So.
That's great stuff. The other thing I noticed was ownership is the only word I could come up with. The way that you specifically, I didn't go to every place in Arizona. I don't know what else is going on, but I did notice that your regional vice president, first of all, has a giant geographic responsibility with Arizona and Texas. And I was talking with Edmund Hunter about how he was balancing that. And what was so clear was that you all in that local market have taken ownership of that. You're running it as if you're the regional vice president, and you're serious about that in a way that frees him up to be supportive of all of you, but also to handle the markets that he's been tasked to be over, which, again, Texas is like a country. Arizona was massive, just the parts of it that I saw. So I just love the way you guys took the ownership. And I think that speaks perhaps, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but to the journey you've been on. And what I'd love for you to do, because you shared a little bit of your story when we were in that luncheon and of course at the Super Saturday. But for those that don't know the Rick Allen story, the Legal Shield Rick Allen story, I would love for you to just take a few minutes and share it.
Yeah, absolutely. Be glad to. So the way I like to tell it today, because, hindsight gives you 20/20. I didn't know this going through the journey. But when I look back on it, here's what the story looks like to me is I was literally trying to be the Jeff Bezos within the Christian marketplace. We had a online Christian bookstore business. You could have a bookstore through us. It was a multi-level marketing system. So you could buy a bookstore, you could now be online. And we had, at one point in time, we actually, before I took over that company, they had about 7,000 stores. It was kind of in a power dive. By the time I got it, we had around 2,000. And I made some changes, tried to keep it alive. And then some events that were far, far beyond our control took over. And we did end up going out of business. But during that time, in fact, it was after I had just taken the helm of that organization, I came across a problem that personally I looked at and I thought, this is a customer service problem. I'm having, they sent me, this company sent me a bill for $2,320, what was it, 2343 something, I don't remember, but it was money that I didn't have, and we were struggling. I was looking at getting a job because I needed to pay my bills so I could keep the company running with the rest of the money that was coming in. So I ended up in this meeting, and some lady named Cassie Prinky, some of you might know who she is, gave a presentation and started talking about Legal Shield. Well, I already knew about the company. I actually was looking at, hey, this would be a cool thing to plug in to our bookstores as a service that our store owners could sell. And so I was looking at doing that, but I didn't think it was something I needed, even though somebody was trying to charge me all that money. I said, you know what, this is just a customer service problem. I'm a speaker. I was trained in the ministry. I know how to talk. I know how to write. I should be able to solve this. For 6 months, I tried to solve that $2,300 problem. And then Cassie Prinky gets up in a place where I thought I was looking for a job and tells about what Legal Shield does. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I could have had this years ago. So when my child, I won't mention which one, when this child had this problem at this school, I could have used that service. When this child had this problem or with the school, I could have really used it, because here I am, one parent going up against, a school board saying, hey, this is an issue, this is a problem. I really didn't have much of a voice, but how powerful would it have been if I'd have known, without spending a bundle of money, because our thought processes are what keep us from using Legal Shield and what keep people out of Legal Shield. I didn't have that thought process. Attorneys were for wealthy people in big companies. I knew that because I used to support the General Motors legal staff, 300 attorneys in one location. So I was their tech support. So here I am trying to solve this problem, and I look at that and I said, well, would they look at this problem? I know it was before I got into Legal Shield. It's like, call your attorney and find out. I called my attorney. They looked at the situation. They looked at the information that I had, and they said, well, let us write a letter on your behalf. And of course, I wanted to know, how much is that going to cost us? Well, that's included in your service. Perfect. I can afford that. So we went ahead and had them write a letter. And like that, a problem that I had dealt with all of my training for 6 months went away. And I realized, oh my goodness, every business owner I know, all of our store owners, and these folks all need to hear about this, and they need to have it and to start using it. So I knew that, number one, I needed it. I knew that everybody that I knew needed it, and I needed to be part of getting this message out to the world. And so from there, it's just history. We started working with Legal Shield. We've retained our very first customer. He was my business partner at the time. And so, yeah, it's been a wonderful, interesting, intricate journey. It hasn't, gone straight up all the time, but there've been bumps along the way. But my goodness, when you look at the power of what we have and the legal muscle that it gives the individual, it's just uncanny. And we need to figure out how, with my language, in my voice, how do I get people to the place where they can hear the information, typically from another voice? Because it's like raising kids. If you've got kids, you know that there were times it was that neighbor down the street who told your kid the same thing you'd been trying to get across to them. And they finally got it. They finally learned. And so with Legal Shield, telling the stories the same way. You want to get people in front of other voices, let them hear it, so it goes into a spot where it might not go in. If it's your brother, your sister, or whatever, they might not be listening to you the way they listen to other people. So get them in front of the information, let them hear it, let them make a good decision for themselves. And so that's been the journey.
Rick, thanks so much. And I'll give you the last word. We're going to go, and you're welcome to stay, absolutely. But we're just going to talk about the events that Mike Riches and the rest of the solutions team have coming up this week and as we wrap up the year. But I'll give you the final words on this. Obviously, we're on our way into Oklahoma City. That's really our next big thing. And there's going to be a lot of fun stops along the way as we get there over the next 4 months. But any other thoughts you'd like to share with your fellow associates as you're wrapping up your segment?
Well, yeah, I mean, getting to the big events, that is extremely important. I've missed a few over the years, health reasons and other things, and I can tell you, I feel like a fish out of water. So if you don't have something, if you don't choose that day to, not be able to breathe, or some other body part not deciding not to work today, get out there and be at that big event, so that you're upfront on the information and you have the power, because we all need that. If you're on the football field, baseball field, whatever it is, you wouldn't just say, you know what, this coaching stuff, we don't need that coach, to come in and tell us to win. We know what the steps are, but every one of us need that extra push, that extra oomph that those things give us. And that's our opportunity to be in the locker room with the coach, to hear voices like the great Dave Savulu used to always do, to let us know we are going to be there at the leadership of legal services in America. And that is that opportunity. So by all means, be there.
Rick, thanks so much. Thanks for making it a great weekend. It really was. I mean, I'm already lobbying to come back, so you'll see me again soon. And hopefully it'll be winter on this side when I come visit you, because it was great to not wear my coat the whole time I was there. So thanks again, buddy. We really appreciate you.
You bet. We loved having you.
Thank you again, Rick, so much. Sonora Danzler, in the few minutes that we have, will you please help us prepare ourselves and our associates to get the training, the tools, the inspiration that we need to finish this year the right way and to launch into 24 like it's nobody's business. Over to you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Great morning, everyone. Great morning. And thank you so much for all those great nuggets that you just shared. It was so definitely enlightening. And I know that you guys took a whole bunch of notes of what you just heard right now, but don't put that pen and paper away just yet, guys, because this week is completely powered packed. As you just heard Mr. Tanner say, we want to make sure that we're getting you the information so that you can go ahead and finish out this week and the remainder of 2023 and get you bursting into 2024. So let's go ahead and get started. Are you ready? So starting tomorrow, we've got the B2B Blitz that happens every Tuesday. Make sure that you are on there, that you are dialing those businesses, that you are getting those appointments set to finish you out for the remainder of this month and to get you kickstarted for 2024. But that's not all. And then on Wednesday, there's two events, guys, two events. And yes, you can definitely make both of them. So starting us off, our last Business Solutions Expo is on Wednesday, it's the 13th. It is at 4 p.m. Central Time, and you definitely want to be there if you're focused on business solutions, or if you're going to get somebody that's on your team or have someone that's already on your team, to make sure that you are attending the Solutions Expo. It's our last one for the 2023 year. We're going to have some fantastic, amazing guest speakers there, like Jimmy Parrish, one of our six-figure ring earners and millionaire club millionaires, as well as Stephanie Moore, of course, uh, Mr. Riches is also going to be there as well, guys. You see, I'm just so excited. And then also on that same day, we're going to be doing a company wide at 7 p.m. Central, informational on the 13th. And you want to go to chatwiththepros.com. If one of our leaders can also put that one into the chat as well, too, chatwiththepros.com. And that's at 7 p.m. on the 13th, which is on that Wednesday. And then also coming up this upcoming Friday, our Employee Benefit Solutions training, and that's an 11 to 3:30 Central Time. You do need to get registered for that. It costs you absolutely nothing. So for all of your new associates, or if you just want to jump on it, get a refresher, make sure that you get on that to get registered. And that's on the Legal Shield calendar. You can go ahead and register for that employee benefits certification training this Friday. And that's the 15th. But I'm not done, guys. I've got a little bit more here to share with you. We've also got our Rocky Mountain Regional virtual training, and that's coming up on Tuesday, the 19th, from 4 to 5:30 Central Time. That one you definitely want to get registered for. And guess what? Because it's virtual, you don't necessarily have to be in the Rocky Mountain region to attend this virtual training. You can be located all over the United States, but that happens to also be my region, so I'm definitely going to be on there. You want to register on the Legal Shield calendar again for the Rocky Mountain Regional virtual training. And we would definitely love to have each and every one of you to attend that. So there we go, guys. I'm getting you set, getting you started to finish out your 2023 and jumpstart yourselves into 2024. Turn it back over to you, Mr. Tanner. Take it away.
Sonora Dantzler, thank you very much. And here we are. You know, I always say it, right? Monday morning, we get to about this point. I say it's the end of the Zoom, but it's the beginning of the week. We have so many people. I'm electric with what is in front of us here this week. You know why? Because there's a whole bunch of folks that would normally be talking to business owners about their product or services. And this week, they're not going to do it. They're too busy with their family. They're running around doing last minute stuff for the holidays. They just don't think that anybody would want to be interested in, but we're going to walk in to the front door and talk to a business owner on Main Street, USA in Canada. And we're going to completely shift how they do business. They will never see their business or their world the same because one of you walked in and shared Legal Shield with them. They're going to protect their families and their peace of mind. They're going to protect their business, and they're finally going to have the same access to justice, to advocacy, to results, to trusted expert advice. Because they're going to have Legal Shield, they're going to be able to compete on an even playing field with other much bigger businesses that have general counsel on staff, businesses that have C-suite executives are not going to be able to hold it over the head of the small business owner anymore because of you. Because of you walking through those doors, you're going to reveal to those business owners that they can bring something meaningful and important in to their benefits package that their employees can use right away, and nothing bad has to happen for them to get the value. Nobody has to crash the car or burn down the house. Nobody has to get sick or die to get the value from Legal Shield and ID Shield. The peace of mind is built in. The value is clear and the cost is low. What a powerful thing to bring into an employee benefits package so that those owners can attract, in this global competitive marketplace, attract the best and the brightest and retain them, because not only do they have a great place to work, but they feel good about the decisions they make. That's what you and I do. And that's what we've done for now millions of people, tens of thousands of businesses, folks sleeping better at night, our friends and neighbors, because of the work that all of you do, sharing these services, revealing a path for folks that had no idea that they could have these apps on their phone. And although it's not typically the thrust or focus on Monday mornings for us to talk about recruiting, I think we have to talk about recruiting. 90% of US people believe that they would love to have their own business. They want to be their own boss. That's what they say. That's what they feel. And yet they have no idea that this path forward exists for them. When they think about business ownership, they think about the risk and the cost. They think about traditional brick and mortar businesses, hiring and firing employees, insurance and advertising. And they have no idea that they could join us in this mission and crusade, that they could help us do the work of our founders and be funded on day one by a multi-billion-dollar company, that they could have the access to the capital they need without going to the bank and having to get a loan, without having to get angel investors and partners that will take part of their business. No. And that they would have mentors, coaches, people to empower and encourage them, teach and train them, and help them along the way to do for them and with them the very thing that those mentors have already accomplished. It's a powerful offering that we have in the community. And I hope that you enter into this week with your head up high, your shoulders back, your chest out, because what you do matters and it's important, noble work. And as I've said over and over and over again, in our Pioneer Founders season, they prepared the table for us, but this work did not get done in their lifetimes. And I know if we focus, if we take advantage of all of the tools and opportunity available to all of us, if we work together, we will get this done in hours. Thanks everybody so much. Have a great week. I enjoyed being with you. Thanks again to Rick Allen for making me feel so special out there in Arizona, and Sonora Dantzler for taking us through the events. Let's go get them, everybody. Talk to you soon.